Hey everybody, it's Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life. I have a layout for the Creative Cuts Club, and for July the theme is about beach babes, so you know, the beach. And this is a new kit club, but it's based off of pre-cut, you know, like silhouette cuts and cut files. So this is put on by the fabulous Christina from Redefine Creative, and each month you get about, I think it's about five to whatever, depends on, I'm sure each month it changes, pre-cut cut files, and they're always based on a theme, but none of them will be holiday. So I know that's a big thing for some people, so nothing's holiday themed. And along with just the cut files themselves, you get exclusive sequins from Sweet Mom Scraps, exclusive flare from Scrap Happy Studio. Those are those really awesome thin flare, and then some added bonus goodies. So for example, in the July kit, we got little like droplets that look like bubbles, and some little mini seashells that you will see in a minute, some exclusive washi that you'll see, and some form of mixed media, I'm assuming, is going to be in every kit. Like this month she gave us an entire bottle, like in a big bottle, of distress ink. So it's all really cool, and this really cool mesh piece, and this is all for $17. So highly recommend it, especially if you don't have your own die cutting machine. Look into it. So the link for Redefine Creative and how you can go from there will be in the description box. You have to order a month ahead because Christina needs to know the count before. So if you order today, you'd be getting your first kit in September, because you had to order by the 12th of July for September. So that part, isn't the funnest, but it's worth the wait, I promise. And if she has any extra kits, she said she'll put them up and send them, so you never know. Anyways, that's my huge spiel. That took me 2 minutes. Let's get into my layout. So what I wanted to do today was highlight the seashell cut file. And this one, I didn't want to use it as a full cut file. That was too big and too much for my eye. I had no idea how I would have decorated it. So I went ahead and cut it apart, and I chose 3 of my favorite ones, a little bit different shell in each one. And I'm going to use the entire piece of this like mesh type paper and put it over a piece of pattern paper. Now the pattern paper I'm using is from Simple Stories Summer line this year, and it is called, I never remember this, it is called Sunshine and Blue Skies is the pattern paper that I used. I believe that's the entire collection too. So I loved it. It's just this really, really pretty red and white stripe, but it's like a coral and white. And then I'm using a teal background from the same collection, so I knew it would match. I also went ahead, and you saw that I pulled out that washi tape. I put it on a piece of white paper, and then went ahead and fussy cut out the shells so I could highlight those because I loved them. And because the washi tape is kind of see-through, when you put it onto white cardstock, it becomes a little bit easier to use because now you don't have stick all over. And I was able to layer that on top of things as well. You can see I also have my title set up. I'm using the You and Me's from the Mickey Holmes collection from the summer that has just completely escaped my mind at the moment. I just fussy cut that out. And then the word C is something I cut out myself on my portrait. So to add just a little bit of fun and color tones to it, I am using just a tiny bit of mixed media. I wanted to highlight the shell, so I just sprayed some of my ink and just I'm gonna paint it in. Nothing fancy. It's gonna be overlaid with the shell, and then on top of that I'm gonna go ahead and stitch the shell. I stitch it in white, so it's very subtle, but I really love the texture that it brought. I thought it was really neat the way that it kind of all came together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. This layout did, of course, take me a little while because I'm doing all these different layers to it. I really wanted to bring as much dimension to this layout as possible because I'm going to add things like the little mini shells that I was talking to you about. and some chipboard. So you'll see that in a minute. And then of course I wanted to be able to tie it in with everything else. So I'm going to take the word C that I cut, and I'm going to just paint it with the same color as well. I did try to make it so it was darker on the S and lighter on the A. So it was just a little bit of, again, variance and some interest to the page there. And then I relayed everything out. I had to do this. I put things down, picked it all up, put it down a ton of times. So I wanted it to be like my photo was caught like in a net. That was kind of my idea here. And so how I wanted to make that work is I'm going to use white string, and I'm going to stitch the exclusive sequins on with that. So I know that they're secure, but I'm going to leave tons of extra so that I have white thread just everywhere. And I love the look that it created. It's just awesome. And in the sequin mix, there are some little shell sequins, and I use a couple of those to spread throughout the layout at the bottom. And that was really fun. And then I also pulled out the chipboard from that Maggie Holmes collection, and I pulled out, I think, 3 pieces of chipboard, and I'm going to put them in. You can kind of see I have 3 main clusters going on. So I put one in each cluster, including the shell that I stitched, and I just tucked that into my photo a little bit and I just played with that. So there you have it. You can see I've taken everything back up again because I had my idea, but now I need to glue everything down. So this piece has a little bit of metal at the very top and bottom, and so I went ahead and glued those pieces down, but the rest of it is not adhered to anything, and it worked just fine. It's with my glue, it's stuck pretty nicely, and I'm not noticing any issues with it, so that worked. And as long as you just make sure you hold it really securely until it's got a good grip, I think it'll be just fine. And or you could have stitched it down. There's a lot of different things you could have done to make that work. I'm also going to go ahead and replace these I keep calling them die cuts. They're not die cuts. The cut file back on. Now, I didn't have my photo at the time, as you can see that. So I wasn't sure what I was working with. I didn't know what photo I wanted to use. I had a couple ideas. I have this really cute photo of Barrett. I thought maybe I could have a photo of him and me and document his first time at the beach. Or I had a photo of Nora. Like, there was a bunch of other things. But as I was going about this, I loved the layout so much. I wanted to highlight it as our big Canada Day layout that I do every year to document our trip, because we go to the beach every year for Canada Day. That's just kind of our tradition. So when you do see the photo, it does come up in a minute. I get it printed and replace it with that white one. It's a really cute photo. We have 3 kids, so in order to get a photo of all of us, they're not all going to be looking. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure that any of my kids are looking. Sean and I are looking. I think I have just the very tippy top of Barrett's head in it. And Jackson is smiling, but I don't think he's looking at the camera. And I think Nora's like looking off at something in the distance. So it's a really funny family photo, but we take it because that's what we get, especially when you're somewhere like we're standing in water. And so, Jackson didn't love that. He was afraid something was going to bite him. And anyways, I love it. And where we live, there's seaweed everywhere. So you can kind of tell we're in the water, but mostly you just see green. I love the photos though. So I debated about doing it black and white, but I really love the color photo. So I'm going to make that happen. And thankfully I had space to tuck it in without covering up. I was afraid I was going to cover up Jackson's face, tucking it into that embellishment cluster, but I didn't. So I was really happy with that. And then to finish it off, I do that little cluster up there so I can use some of the flare from Happy Scrappy Studios, and that one says Beach Fun. And then my final little bit, I wanted just a tiny bit more interest, so I'm going to just rip the paper up there and replace it with the opposite side of the red and white stripe. It has like these really cute swimsuits, but it's just the color that you can see, and I'm going to replace that up there. So there you have it, my first layout for the Creative Cuts Club. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you soon with another layout. Bye!